Hello everyone, in this video we are going to learn about viewing subset of objects, and following are the topics that we are going to discuss. Firstly, we will get an introduction to subsets of object, and then we will learn why we use the query set. So let's begin. All the generic views that operate on a single object or a group of objects use the model parameter, which identifies the database model that view will use to operate. And addition to this model argument is not only way to specify the objects that the view will operate upon. You can also specify the list of objects using the query set argument. Now the question arises, why we use the query set argument instead of the model argument if we already have this argument? So by using the query set, you can specify the filter list of objects and make the objects accessible in the view more precisely. I will tell you what I mean with the model and the query set. In the previous example which we discussed in the previous video, you have noticed that we fetch the detail from the model by writing a simple argument model and assign the name of the model to it. But you can also fetch the detail of the model by passing the query set. For this you have to write query set equals to the name of the model dot objects dot all, which means it fetch all the fields of the model and show you. So they both work same, but by using the model you only fetch the full detail of the model. If you want to add some filter, for example you want to get something ordered in ascending order or a descending order, you can't do this by using the model argument. For this we need this query set, so we accessible object more precisely by applying the filter. So now we will see an example and clear the concept. So here is the example. Here I create a project with name registration system and an app inside it with the name registration app. After that I install this app in my settings.py file. For this I move to the installed app section and write the name of my app. After this I define the URL file which is located in the project directory. So I open this file and here I write the code which define the path of the registration app which I created. So by writing this line include registration app.urls, we move to the URLs file located in the registration app. So I move to the registration app. You all know that by default there is no URLs file located in this app, so we have to create it first. Later I will explain you this URLs file. Firstly I will explain you the model which I have created in the models.py file. So here I create a model and the name of my model class is a employee register, and it consists of a field name. It is a character field with maximum length 150. The next field is email field, is a email field type, and the third one is a date of joining and it is a date type field, and here I set it as a date of joining. So after that I want a form so the user can fill their detail. For this I create a file with the names forms.py and I add the following code inside it. So here I create a model form class with the name employee register form, and inside the meta class I define the model name as employee register and fields to double underscore all double underscore, by which it means that it shows all the field of the employee register model. So after creating the form, the next step is to create the logic of viewing the subset of objects. For this I opens the view.py file and create a logic. So firstly I import my necessary libraries. So firstly I import my model. For this I write a command from .models import employee register, and after that I create a class name as registration create view. This is a subclass and I extend this class by using the create view generic class. Then I define the name of the model. So here I initialize the name of the model to it. After that I override it with the fields argument and I set it to double underscore all, and I also pass the success underscore URL parameter to it. So on the success, it will move to the list view. So as I use the create view, for this we have to import this. For importing this view, I use the command from django.views generic .edit import create view. You know that this create view is the part of the edit module. Then I create another generic view having a name registration list view. It is also the subclass, and I extend this subclass to the list view which already created by the Django. Then I initialize the query set and I define it as employee register, which is the name of my model, then dot objects, then dot ordered by DOJ, which is the date of the joining. It means it shows me the record ordered by the date of joining. And then I also overwrite it by passing an attribute context underscore object underscore name, which simply does the same thing that object underscore list variable does, and I initialize its value to employee underscore list. And as I use the list view, so I import this by using the command from django.views.generic import list view. So after defining the subclass of create view and list view, we need to map it with an URL. In the URL file located inside the app directory. So I open this file. So here firstly I import the both subclasses which I created, then I define the path. So here I add the new generic view classes registration create view and the registration list view with the as underscore view method. So after this we need a template for the front end work. So we have to create a template folder, and as I told you, you have to also create a subfolder in this folder with the name of your app. So here I create a folder as a registration app, and inside this folder I created two files. I told you in the previous module, if we use the list view, by default it search for the HTML file having the name of the model underscore list.html. So the name of my model is employee register. So I write it as employee register underscore list.html. Or if I use the create view, it will look for the by default file employee register underscore form.html. So I create a file with this name. So firstly I explain you file for the create view. So here I use the form tag with the method post, and I use the csrf underscore token for the security reason. Then I render the form as a paragraph. After that I add a button submit to submit the form after successful insertion of the record, and I also add a link which move to the list. Now I explain you the list view template file. So in the list view template file, I simply create an unordered list in which I iterate over the employee underscore list. For this I use the for loop, and here you can see that I fetch the name and the date of the joining, and if this list is empty, it use the empty tag and shows the list as a no object yet, and then I close the for loop. So now I execute the program and show you the output and tell you how the subset objects work. So here you can see that it opens the form first. So it will ask you to enter the name. So I enter the name as Nick, and it asks for the email. Now I enter the email as nick@gmail.com, and now it asks for entering the joining date. So I enter the joining date as 2022, a month is June, and the date is 12. So now I click on the submit button. It will move to the list view. So you can see that it shows the list of the employee with the date of a joining. You can see the first one is John, the next one is Eva, and the third is Lisa, and the last one is Nick. So as you see that I use the filter object on the date of joining. Now my main focus is to tell you how this filter object work and how it order employees by date of joining. So here you see that the first person is John and date of joining is May 28, 2019. Now I enter a employee date which joined before this date. So I move back and create an employee with the name Jack, and the email ID it have is jack@gmail.com. Now it's asked for the date of joining. As I told you, I have to enter the date before the 28th May 2019. So I add the date as 16th Jan 2018. So I click on the submit button. It asks for enter a valid date. It shows an error as I enter the date in format DDMMYY, but the correct format is YYMMDD. So I change it to 2018 Jan 16. So now I click on the submit button. It moved to the list page. So here you can see that it shows the Jack on the top of the record as I use the filter object on the date of joining. Even I enter the detail of the Jack in the last, but still it shows on the top because of the filtering. So with this we have learned about subsets of object, and in the next module we will learn about the complex filtering.